FOBO for me, like really infected. And I say infected because it is a poison that is killing you. It's killing your ability to commit, to be grounded, to have a strong yes, to have a strong no. Like FOBO is killing us. It really is.
It's Kate
and JJ.
And today we are diving into a topic that I believe is ruining dating globally.
Yeah. Is this on both ends or specifically men, women?
I think for men and women.
Yeah. I think especially men.
For sure.
Maybe a little bit more about women as well.
Examples. It's something we keep seeing over and over again as we talk to singles. But what is it, JJ? You want to reveal it?
Yeah, it's FOBO. What is FOBO? FOBO is a fear of a better option.
And I'm going to read that definition and like what it really is in a minute. But I really think that this is plaguing dating, this fear that there's something better out there. And the other thing that's plaguing dating once people are in a relationship is, what if I make the wrong choice?
Yeah, they're kind of like next door neighbors, are they not?
Yeah, they are. They're definitely next door neighbors.
I definitely agree. It's one of the poisons in dating. Specifically, I see it in men a little bit more. Maybe I work with more men. And it's a hidden one, meaning it's not one that people are excited, happy to talk about, air out loud. Just because it is a little bit more, I don't know, I don't want to say sinister, but there's some shame attached to it. It's definitely one of those internal wrestles and monologues that you kind of keep to yourself. And it's hard to share with somebody else.
True. So before we get into all of our dialogue on it, I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I thought that was coming.
Really?
I'm doing well. Do you mean like emotionally, physically? Yeah. Spiritually.
Why did you look at me kind of funny when he said physically?
No, I mean like, do you like what you see? You know, is that?
No, but I just mean after our podcast a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, this is our first one since then.
Yeah.
Did you have fun hosting with somebody else?
Yeah. Madison was awesome.
I mean, you said that like a little too enthusiastic.
No, but it was such a fun conversation.
No, Mark was really awesome. I had a great time with him.
You guys are best friends, so obviously.
Yeah. No, I'm doing better, like however you want to define that. What I mean by that is probably a little bit more at peace with what happened, a little bit more accepting of what happened, and a little bit more embracing of the pain and the gift of pain. You know, at the end of pain that's validated and worked through, there's relationship and intimacy that I never had before.
Yeah.
With you, with friends, with God, like specifically with God.
Yeah.
I've been more emotional and needy with God than ever before.
Yeah.
In the best way. How about you?
Yeah. And for those that don't know, we did an episode a few weeks ago. We shared that we went through 2 miscarriages in 2 months. And so I'm doing better. I did have a really profound experience with the Lord a few weeks ago at church and just really felt his love, his embrace. I felt like hope was reimplanted. I felt some depression lifting and just a really beautiful moment. You know, I believe that change happens. It can happen in a moment. And I also believe it can happen in a moment and it needs to be continued to be cultivated.
Yeah. And I love that it's both and.
Yeah.
Healing doesn't have to be either or, one grand moment or, you know, consistent healing through time. It can be both.
So I had a great week after that. And then we ended up running into some conflict in our marriage, which today, as we record this, I feel like is in a better place. We still have some things to resolve, but feeling better. I'm trying to get out there and go on my walks and prayer walks and, you know, prioritize sleep and healthy connection with you.
It is amazing though, when you're good with God and you're in your routine, and I am as well, we're good with each other. Yeah. It is amazing. But for all those singles out there who think the grass is greener in marriage, you have these World War III fights, and they're typically over the dumbest things. We had ours on Saturdays over Cheerios.
Yep.
We literally had our World War III fight on Cheerios.
Yep.
So
maybe we'll tell that story another time.
Yeah.
We're still working on resolving it.
Okay, talk to me about FOBO.
Well, wait, no, we got to tell them about HODC first.
Oh, well, I mean, like if you have Valentine's Day plans and you're kind of nervous and worried that if you commit to conference, you're going to be missing out on something else or a date with someone. Is that not a classic example of FOBO?
A better option. No, seriously. Hey, but right now in the month of December, we are doing a bunch of different giveaways. If you go over on Instagram, and it's pretty epic, honestly. We've never done this before.
They're sick. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like kind of thinking about. Yeah, no, seriously, it's a random draw.
Actually, it's funny because like we're paying for it, so if I enter, it's like my own money.
I know, but still, it's kind of nice. I'm gonna definitely buy a ticket and like Emily, and like see if I get drawn.
But you guys, it's going to be such a great time. Janine and Caleb are going to be there. We're talking about this the other week on Instagram. We're going to do a live episode of Happy and Healthy with Heart of Dating. We've never done a live podcast recording. We also just launched, pretty sure we launched it when this podcast goes live. If not, we will. We're going to actually have some things for couples at this conference. And that's not always the case. Usually we target just singles, which yes, if you are single as a Pringle, this is for you.
Like single.
But we're also going to we have some elements for people's in relationships.
Yeah, because we have people ask all the time, if I have a boyfriend or girlfriend, does that mean I'm barred from coming?
Yeah, or if I'm engaged, can I not come at all?
Exactly. So,
and no, you are totally welcome. And we're going to have actually some sessions specifically for you. And don't forget, this is a create your own conference. So you get to choose what things you want to go to.
Yeah.
And which is going to be super fun.
I can't wait.
So go to heartofdating.com/HODC. It's February 14th and 15th out in Dallas, Texas.
Let's go.
And we have our after party happening in the Fort Worth Stockyards at Billy Bob's.
Dude, that's going to be fun.
That's going to be sick.
Wait, they don't have karaoke, but there is karaoke in the
we are going to have karaoke.
Wait, really?
It's going to be very different this time.
Wait, what was wrong last time?
Well, last time we got a little out of hand, if I'm going to be honest. So we're going to reel it in a little bit.
So funny.
JJ, let's talk about FOBO. Can I read the actual definition of FOBO?
Yeah, sure.
Let's read the formal definition. FOBO refers to a psychological phenomenon where a person struggles to make decisions or commit to choices because they fear that there might be a better option available that they haven't considered yet. This fear often leads to indecision, procrastination, or the constant search for alternatives, making it difficult to settle on a choice.
Yeah. Should I give a story example?
Yeah.
I met this young man years ago, great looking guy, great personality. He loved God, good character. And he walked away from his fiance in engagement. And I didn't know her personally, but as he described her and the way that their relationship was, he basically said on a soul level, we're best friends and we still talk to this day.
That's literally all you need.
Well,
not all you need, but most of what you need.
Well, but then he said, but physically, I just wasn't sure if I was attracted to her.
Interesting.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so what do you tell a guy like that? Right? What do you tell him? And
well, was he not attracted to her, or is he just thinking that there could be somebody else he's more attracted to?
Well, again, there's a layer to that, right? Well, what do you mean by not attracted to them? And, maybe, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I was like, maybe she just wasn't the most beautiful girl in the whole entire world. And he really went after personality and character and just couldn't convince himself to be attracted. Like, you just never know. Mm-hmm. He ends up sending me a picture and showing me this girl. And I just wanted to, I'm so sorry, but punch him like in the, like a punch of love or smack him because she was beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, she was beautiful and I couldn't believe it. And that's when it hit me, like, FOBO is killing men.
Yeah.
Because basically, for whatever reason, could be porn, and like we've all at this point, as men, like, used porn for a year or 10 years. Like, it's just wrecked us. He basically couldn't commit because physically he could not get out of his mind that despite having a character, a best friend, and personality just fit for life, physically there might have been someone who's a little bit more attractive out there for him.
Wow.
And he could do a little bit better.
What's so crazy is, what about when she has a baby? What about when she gets older? What about if she gets in a car crash? Like, there's so many things that you could go down.
I was actually so thankful that he walked away because he clearly was not ready.
Right.
Because physically, if you were walking away from that, then what do you think? Then what do you think's going to happen
cheating.
within the next year, 2, 5,
For
20,
sure.
like to her body and her looks?
Yeah. Do I know this guy?
I don't know.
I want to talk to him.
Wow. But that's FOBO.
Yeah.
That's
FOBO.
literally, and that's like FOBO at its worst, walking away, not just wrestling it, but walking away from what should have been an amazing marriage.
So let's diagnose FOBO in dating. And so basically this is an opportunity to check in with yourself. Do you have FOBO? And is it crippling your dating life, or how are you dating people that have FOBO? So
yeah, and FOBO looks, I mean, it's not just dating, right? I think we all struggle with FOBO as millennials because there's just this infinite amount of options.
Yeah, Cheesecake Factory, cheesecake ice cream.
Yeah, social planning.
Yeah.
I had terrible FOBO.
Yeah.
And committing to just simply going golfing with a friend or going to this, house party on a Friday night because I was just like, what if something better comes up?
So you would basically be the guy that was like, yeah, maybe.
Exactly.
Maybe. And then the day of or night of or hour of, you'd decide, you'd say, I have these 3 options. This is the one I'm going to do.
Yeah. Like I was definitely a maybe guy. So if you struggle with maybe, then you probably struggle with FOBO.
So I think one of the biggest things that's pretty obvious in FOBO is, if you have FOBO, you're going to have difficulty committing to someone. So let's say, you guys know we talk about the dating stages: single, dating, relationship, engaged, married. So dating is a time that you are trying to figure out if you want to be in a relationship with somebody. So let's talk about that decision, because I think that's a first big FOBO decision. I'm going from dating to in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm deciding if I want to commit to this person exclusively, get off the apps. This is somebody I'm actually going to commit to getting to know and grow with to then see if I want to marry them. And I think that's one thing you see a lot. And I'm not going to just I am for a moment. Avoid people who lean avoidant attachment. This is going to be that person, but you can also struggle with this even if you're anxious, for sure, anxious leaning, and definitely if you're ambivalent, because when it comes to, okay, you're really good probably at showing up in that first month, second month, having fun, having a great time. And then you're coming to the decision of, do I want to be in a relationship with this person? I feel like you start going through the laundry list of all the things, almost looking at all the flaws, highlighting everything they maybe don't have. And you're like, well, I can maybe find someone that has those things.
Yeah. If you struggle with FOBO, you probably struggle with it with all parts of your life. Mm-hmm. Job, ice cream, food, social. It would probably even honestly take place even before dating, committing to a relationship. Think about if you're in a church friend group and you feel like you could only ask out one girl.
Yeah.
You're probably only going to ask out one girl that you've already made your mind up on. If you have fear of a better option, it's even hard to ask out one girl sometimes because you kind of feel like you're putting all your eggs in one basket and marrying her.
And I think this is why dating multiple people is not great for everyone. I think the other option is maybe you're like, I'm fine to date this girl as long as I have options. So I'm also going to date this one and this one.
Yeah, there's always I
have multiple, and when I was really insecure back, I don't know if I struggled as much with FOBO. Definitely not. I hypercommitted, but I did have this is where you might have the analogy of you have multiple pots in the oven or on the stove. You have, some on the back burner, something in the oven. You got lots of options to choose from, so that you can just, and Matthew Hussey does a very funny video on this called the Minimal Possible Investment Guy, the MPI guy. It's just just as that connection starting to get cold, you pop it back in the oven and you pop back up on the scene.
Yeah.
And
I call it heartstrings, meaning you have strings attached to all these girls' hearts or vice versa. And you just tug them kind of like a ventriloquist when you need some affection, attention, validation.
And can we dive into this for a second?
Yeah.
Because I feel like we sit here saying this, and I would really want to call the person out who might be listening, who might hear this and be like, I don't really know if I struggle with this. Let's really diagnose you, okay? You might be
from our couch chairs.
Let me diagnose you. You might be saying, well, I just love to have, let's say you're a guy. We are picking on guys a little bit, I guess, right now. But
we need it though, as in when we quote hate on guys, it's actually because we want you to be a great man. Like we want
Right.
you to be a healthy guy.
We
so
want to
we are
FOBO
blunt.
out for sure.
Yeah.
If you are a guy or a girl that's just like, hey, you have all these friends of the opposite gender, but let's be real, they're flirty a little bit.
Yes.
And, if you were just defending that, being like, well, I just, love female friends. Like I really connect to females. I'm charismatic. Some girls take that the wrong way, but I'm just a really
can't
friendly
control their
person.
emotions. Like if they like me.
Yes. But this is what you'll do. You'll find yourself, we know someone very close where I feel like they characterize as this kind of person, where it's like, I've talked to you for months on end as a friend. I've maybe shown some mixed signals. And then I tell you, I only want to be your friend. And then I continue to proceed to can invest in you emotionally and kind of show you interest as though I'm interested more than a friend.
Yeah.
It's what I would say somebody with FOBO would do, because they're like, let me just keep this option as a potential as I navigate the scene to see if there is anything else out there, because I don't want to lose this option if it might be my only option, or the bet, if it's the better option out of all of these, but I want to see if there's anything else out there. So I'm going to just leave this one on the back burner. And I'm going to keep kind of popping in and out, making sure this girl knows that I exist, making sure she thinks that I care about her. And I'm justifying it as myself as I'm just being a good friend to them.
Yeah. Well, that's a friendationship.
Oh man. Right. And I had so many of those in my past.
Yeah, and me too. FOBO. So FOBO really is at the root of friendationships, many pots in the oven. FOBO for me, really infected. And I say infected because it is a poison that is killing you. It's killing your ability to commit, to be grounded, to have a strong yes, to have a strong no. FOBO is killing us. It really is. That's why we're so... What is it? Vehement? Is that how you say it?
Vehemently against
That's why we're so vehement against it, because it literally killed all areas of my life, my ability to commit and really be fully in something.
Yeah.
We do it with discipleship, friendship, relationships. If you struggle with FOBO, it really does kill your ability to have grounded, real depth and intimacy.
So let's talk about some of the other signals or signs that you have FOBO. I would say mixed signals. So if you are somebody who's getting mixed signals from somebody, probably they have FOBO. If they come on hot and then all of a sudden they're inconsistent, they're struggling with FOBO. Most likely.
Yeah. I think I don't like to spend a lot of time diagnosing what the other person's going through in dating.
Right.
Trying to kind of deduce.
There could be a lot of things, but...
Right. But I would say FOBO is definitely one of the most consistent ones as far as an inconsistent behavior. If you're receiving inconsistent behavior or pop in, pop out, that's...
Pop in, pop out. Oof.
Pop in, pop out. That's the gopher.
Yeah. Hey. Oh, bye.
You're getting gophered.
What about also a lack of vulnerability?
Walk me through that one.
Yeah. So usually someone with FOBO might put up emotional walls out of protection, because I don't want to get too deep too fast. I'm going to because I'm considering all my options. So because this is more of actually probably a self-protectionist FOBO person, if that word exists, where they struggle with a fear of a better option. And because of that, you may have the really charismatic person that has vulnerability, quote unquote, with lots of people. Let's get deep,
transparent, but not vulnerable.
Right. But then you'll have the person that it's very surface level, and they might show up, they might listen, they might plan great dates, or they might be great on dates, but they have lots of walls of protection. And it's because they fear I don't know if I want to really share my heart here, because I fear that there might be better options out there.
Yeah, I could see that. And FOBO, really at the end of the day, if you struggle with FOBO, you probably struggle with something like this. I have 1,000 friends and they all go an inch deep. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you kind of don't really ever get fully intimate with someone.
Yeah.
And that could be because you always think that someone better is around the corner. I'd say for me, FOBO is hard because in relationships and friendships and being discipled, I had a hard time, like letting someone fully disciple me, letting someone be my best friend, because I always thought that what if someone more wise and better and smarter comes along and I could be led by them.
Wow.
And I could just hop ship.
So that's interesting.
You know,
and that's how it translated into dating too.
Yeah. Or friendship wise, like what if someone who's maybe a little bit more smart, successful, you know, capable comes along and I'm stuck with this friend? Or,
because I see this happening in FOBO, you might commit to somebody to a certain extent, and as soon as the better option comes along, it's like you're inconsistent, you're ghosting.
Totally. Like you kind of trade your old friends for new ones.
Yeah, really quickly.
Like you kind of upgrade them.
Oof.
I know. And that one's kind of convicting because, you know, at the end of the day, like I love Mark, but like what if a cooler version of Mark in my mind comes along? You know,
whoa,
and he's got
hopefully Mark doesn't hear this.
No,
Mark
but
Evans.
I'm really playing it out. Like, what if he has like a country club membership at a place I really want to go? You know, and he can pay for everything.
And Titan season tickets that he's offering you.
And he's like, you know, and Mark's like right there. He's like, well, I can't pay for your round, and we're still going to like this cheap public course, but do you want to go? I'm like, you know what I mean? But that's FOBO. So
yeah, you're right. You're right.
You know, FOBO and loyalty and commitment are really at odds with one another. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that you can't grow and all these things.
Somebody who struggles with the fear of a better option is going to likely struggle or look for looks and status and other external factors as more important than deeper heart qualities or deeper emotional connection. And so it's like, I'm going to jump ship as soon as I find somebody who's maybe a little more beautiful or a little more attractive or has maybe a little bit more of some of the things I'm looking for.
Yeah. Or they always have one eye on you and one eye elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's what I really feel like it is.
One eye on you, one eye elsewhere.
Yeah, totally. 1 foot in, 1 foot out, one hand in, one hand out.
Yeah.
One eye on you, observing you, admiring you, telling you you're beautiful. And then the other one that's kind of like secretly looking around the room.
Okay. So let's transition into talking then about the fear of what if I make the wrong choice, which yes, these two are next door neighbors, but I also think this one applies more to all attachment styles, meaning anxious, secure, ambivalent. It's the fear of I'm in a relation, especially you're in a relationship, it's leading to engagement. I would say this is where this comes the most. And I'm trying to figure out, what if I make the wrong decision? And I want to start off with the story, because this was my story. So 2 weeks before we got engaged, I had this moment. Am I going to make the wrong choice in getting engaged to you? Because I didn't really want to break off an engagement.
So it wasn't necessarily like, is there a better guy out there? It was just a little bit more focused on...
It kind of was a little bit.
Okay, because what would be the difference between FOBO and WIMCWC? What if I make the wrong choice?
So it was a little bit, I guess it was. Let's tease it out, and then you can tell me at the end if that's what was really happening.
Okay.
So, you know, I loved you for so many reasons, and we had been through a lot, even in just that year of getting to know each other. And I could see that there would be a healthy relationship. And you did have all the qualities, the main 5 need to have qualities that I was looking for. You really did. And I had fears of our differences.
Yeah, like I was too perfect.
Right, of course. Yeah. I mean, I can't deal with too perfect.
And you would have to live up to me your whole life.
Yeah. So I had fears of our differences because we did have a lot of opposite things. You are type B, I'm type A. You know, you're more of a saver. I'm on a little bit more of the spending side. I'm a little more of a better saver now. But yeah, still spend a lot. And you are disorganized, I'm organized. You are very flexible, I'm like ultra planner, right? You don't care about germs, I care about germs. You don't care what you look like, I do. Like there are so many different things. All right. But what I was really looking at is less of the superficial things, but more of like a life together, what that would look like. And I especially thought of our family, our home, and raising kids. And what freaked me out was I saw my family dynamic. My dad was, he worked and provided for our family. And I'm so grateful for that because he worked hard and he did provide really well for us. And what I did see also though, was my mom led the household, led the parenting, led everything. And I saw that, she knew the schedule. She knew everything. Like, I bet if you asked my dad when I was growing up any given day of the week, like what dance recital or a sports game that me or my brother had, like he wouldn't really know. My mom knew it all. Mm-hmm. And my mom was packing all the snacks and the lunches and my mom was doing everything. Right. And so my dad did have a significant role, but when you look at all the other tactical things, which now being married, there's a lot of them. My mom did even the finances and the bills. Like she did everything. And so I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to be the one doing everything in our marriage? Because JJ is the fun guy and he lives for fun and he kind of makes it through life, but he's not as organized and he's not, I can't see him being as much of a disciplinarian at the time, at least. So this is what I was creating in my mind, this story. And I'm going to be the one running the house, knowing all the schedules. And eventually our kids are going to grow up and JJ is going to be the fun dad that doesn't provide any discipline. And I'm going to be the mean mom that doesn't let them eat certain things, that is super strict on them, that is they're going to hate me and they're going to love him. And I'm going to be alone in it, even though I'm working so hard and actually doing a lot for the kids. And it was really actually about kids more than anything. And, I just was freaked out. I didn't want that. I was like, I don't want that. I want a balance. Though I may have some strengths in terms of planning, and it makes sense if I'm more of the planner, I want to have a partner that wants to contribute and not just be the fun person, And you see that a lot with mom dynamics. Like the mom is the disciplinarian, the mom's the planner, the mom's all this, and the dad comes in and then he's the fun guy. He's like, don't tell your mom, kids, here's your candy, that's kind of a dynamic that's pretty normalized. I feel like that the mom is the one well, if you don't tell mom, maybe we can, and I was like, I don't want that. Anyway, I'm telling this long story because I was like, well, what, am I making a mistake if I marry JJ? Because I could in my mind, I guess, marry somebody that might be more of a teammate with me. And so I had this whole freak out moment, honestly.
It sounds similar to the guy at the beginning of this episode.
But it had nothing to do with physical attraction.
Even though it had nothing to do with looks, it was something else.
Yeah. But would you say my thing was superficial?
No, whether it's superficial or something that's valid, that's kind of a good point. Mm-hmm. And that's probably why you need someone wise in your life to kind of help you differentiate. Right. This is stupid, or that's a good point. But regardless, you and him both had to make a decision and accept what you were marrying or not going to marry. Right.
And my therapist said, sure, Kate, you can find a guy that is more organized, that is more, that cleans more, all these things that is going to be more rigid. You can find a guy like that if you really wanted to, but you have to decide and then stick with that decision.
Yeah. And so for the guy at the beginning of the episode said, fine, I'm going to walk away and I'm going to try and hold out for someone that's better looking, has everything else that I'm looking for, which is fine. That's his decision. I think it's a wrong one in the sense of, I think it was a stupid thing, to make that kind of decision off when you have these amazing things. Yeah. For you're marrying quote amazing things, and also one more challenging one.
Right. And I would say, well, let's level set with our people here. Obviously I made that decision and I'm so glad I made that decision. There's no regret.
You still it was real. We've had conflict over those areas. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Let's level set. Those are still things that we're still working through. It's not like my fears were invalid and went away. Yeah. But I think what I didn't give you a lot of credit for, it was seeing as some of your strength, the qualities that I was thinking about, I wasn't seeing some of them as actual strengths. I was seeing a lot of it as more weakness, flexibility. Yeah. Well, and when people get divorced, they talk about the core thing that happens is they begin to see all the things that they hate and dislike about the other person instead of the things that they really love and enjoy. And that is how powerful that perspective is. Do I see these things as something I have a disdain for, I can't stand, or do I really see them as an asset, a blessing, a strength, something that God has given this person and I appreciate about them?
Right. And I think today we're still, I mean, the Cheerios argument actually has to do with this conversation, which we won't tell everyone about it, but like it has to do with that to an extent. And I think at the end of the day, it's about what I was afraid of was being alone. What I wanted was a teammate, and I was afraid of not having a teammate.
Totally. But the reality is, and we say this all the time, when it comes to marriage, I could have married someone better for me. And Kate, you could have married someone better for you than me.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably could have.
Maybe. I mean, that's the thing is like, maybe you never know. It's not like a guaranteed I would have found someone, quote, better.
I mean, there's a couple 100 million people in the U.S. Like you probably could have. I would have found someone.
I could have found someone with the qualities that I was wanting that were opposite of what I was saying there. Like,
that you maybe work together a little bit better with.
Yes, but who knows what other things that he would have had.
Sure, but at least in this area, it probably could have been easier if you married someone who was a little bit more type A.
Maybe.
But that's the thing, though. You still made your decision fully accepting the reality of what was in front of you. And I did too.
Yes.
And so that question of should I have married them or did God have this, that has got to be tossed out the window because it doesn't really matter. Because I have a friend right now I'm thinking about, and he walks in and out of regretting his marriage. And he's like, maybe I made the wrong decision. Maybe God had someone better for me. That doesn't matter.
You made the choice.
God gave you autonomy. I love this friend, but hey, big dog, God gave you the autonomy.
You chose.
And you chose.
But okay, but saying that right now to our singles who are like maybe even in a relationship or like that's freaking them out probably because they're like, oh, but that's what I don't want. I don't want to then be on the other side of marriage, like saying I made the wrong choice.
But guess what? Here's the good news for you guys. You always married the wrong one.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's good news. Meaning regardless of who you marry, you're gonna be saying, I married the wrong person when it comes to this. Like you are going to have something. Why? Because you're marrying a human being.
Yes.
Who's not perfect.
You're not marrying a clone of yourself.
You're not marrying a clone. And that's, I mean, also you probably have worse fights,
Yeah. Well, and I would just say to that point, let's get into the nitty gritty of what if I make the wrong choice? Because here's where I think where you can really suss this out. Do it in community with wiser people to figure out, are you making the wrong choice, but you do want to making a wise choice.
Are you making a better choice?
A better choice than not.
Yeah.
Right?
Like this guy, now in his defense, he probably could have married someone much better. And he admits that. I did not make this decision out of wisdom. We got engaged after a short amount of time. I made some mistakes in the evaluation process and we rushed into it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but if you're sitting there being like, well, how do I know? Well, get wise counsel. You always need that. And I still talk and coach many people that are like, I don't have that. And I'm like, you need to get that. Wise counsel is people who are walking with you that are older, wiser, that are in a successful, godly relationship, ideally. And the other thing is just even analyzing this on your own. If you are going to, I would say, are there any major deal breakers, which we've done a whole season on deal breakers, but deal breaker being like, this is something you simply cannot live with. You want kids and they don't. They smoke and you don't, and you don't want a smoker. They have an active addiction. Like those are deal breakers. But then are there major red flags that haven't been addressed or that are just not changing? Because the thing is, when it comes to JJ's flexibility and how freaked out I was by some of that, like that became something that he realized not flexibility, but his like lack of follow through sometimes. Okay. That became something that you saw as like, this is something I actually do need to work on.
Yeah. I mean, and that it's vice versa, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of Kate talking about, but there's things that I knew I married with Kate, and I married
Like
all of
control.
Kate. Yeah.
Like I
married,
struggled deeply with control.
and I used to have this, just such a sad outlook. Like when I was thinking about marrying Kate, and did I say this to you? I want to marry you, but I don't want to marry your control.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, or like, I want to marry you, but I can't marry your control. Like you got to work on it.
Yeah.
And that was the wrong perspective.
Right.
Now, hopefully I'm marrying someone, I'm marrying you, I'm marrying your control. And hopefully, and this is the biggest thing, I'm marrying someone who's also humble enough and growth minded enough to say, this is a problem and it's something I'm willing to work on. It's like a lifetime project.
That's why, and we'll talk about this in another episode we do, or a short episode where we talk about why we recommend the timeline, because you have to be able to see the other person's flaws, talk to them about those flaws, and are they willing to work and grow on these things? Like, are they willing to work on it? Are they willing to grow through that thing? Or do they have a fixed mindset when it comes to whatever you're bringing up?
Totally. You're making like a long-term decision based off short-term results.
Right. And so if there are red flags and you're worried about making the wrong decisions, if you do see red flags, have you had conversations? Does this person see this as a potential flaw that they want to fix? And are they actively working to fix that thing in their life? Even if it's not fixed tomorrow, even if it's not fixed by the time you get engaged, because some things are not going to be. I'm still a few years into marriage, still working on my issues with control, you guys. And so, but I'm playing the long game. I'm committed to it. I've grown in many areas in it, but I still have a long way to go. And so you just have to you're making a gamble when you're picking somebody to marry, but you're trying to make the most educated gamble possible.
Yeah. And I just want to say, I know there's like a fear of failure, a fear of making the wrong decision, a huge fear of like a lot of people who've been divorced and remarrying. There's a huge fear of divorcing again. Like this is my last chance, really. I totally hear that. The problem is, and parenting's the same way. People parent out of a fear, But here's what we want. We don't want you guys choosing a partner. We don't want you guys raising kids out of a anti-marriage or anti-divorce. We don't want you raising kids out of an anti-fear and an anti kind of parent. We want you guys to be pro-marriage, pro-parenting. And what are the attitudes, the characteristics, and the foundational beliefs I need to have to be a pro-marriage man, pro-marriage female? And part of that is I'm making a decision and I'm sticking with it, regardless of what happens.
Practicing commitment skills and committing even when things get tough.
So how does this change? Like, is it just I magically make that decision and I'm good at not doing FOBO?
I think the first way is what I just said. You're practicing your commitment skills. You have to commit through imperfections. And I would say start small. If you really struggle with this, may your yes be yes and your no be no's.
Yeah.
And make strong commitments, and follow through on those commitments. You have to practice even in small ways, especially if you have these issues with commitment. Say yes and then follow through with your yes.
Yeah. No, I would say practice at the restaurant. Make your decision about what you want to order and be grateful for it, even when someone else's dish comes out that might have been a little bit better. Now, guess what? You can still learn. Okay, next time I come back to the Cheesecake Factory, I'm going to get the bang bang chicken, right? But for right now, I'm totally content and grateful for what I have. Go order that ice cream. Go commit to that social plan. Hang out with those friends on that Friday night. If something comes up that's better, you either exercise hey guys, something else came up. I gave you my word. Would you be okay releasing me from that so I can go to this? Or go to your friends and say, I'm grateful and content that I made this decision.
Right.
These other people should have scheduled it more in advance. And it's too bad it came up too late.
I think also when you find yourself making a decision that then you regret, let's say you order food at a restaurant and you're like, I wish I ordered something else. Try not to let that ruin your experience.
Yeah, because what you're basically saying is what I have in front of me is not good enough.
Right. It's like, well, I should have made this. So I should have eaten this instead or ordered this instead. Therefore, like that whole dinner was a waste of money and that was a waste of time.
Yeah.
Well, now no, you made a commitment. You committed to a decision. You made it. Now stick with it.
Yeah. And stop living life with that kind of like regret of
And like looking back or looking with your eye to like something else.
Yeah.
Always.
Live in the here and now. I think there's so many great ways to practice here and now and in the smallest ways. And then you kind of move those tactical daily decisions of like what you should get, what you shouldn't get. It's kind of like that question of like, could I have gotten it? Yeah. Should I have gotten it? Well, I didn't know. I made the best decision possible with the best information at hand.
I would also say for this kind of person, if you're struggling with this, do not date more than one person at one time.
Yeah.
This is going to be a recipe for disaster for you.
Yeah. But I just got off a coaching call and this person is dating multiple people. They decided to go kind of exclusive with one. It's looking like it's not going to work out. And she's like, I feel kind of sad that I made a mistake. I'm like, well, you didn't make a mistake. You made the best decision possible with the best information at hand. You knew the risk of walking away from these other two or three, and you were accepting of that.
Yeah.
It didn't work out the way you hoped or expected, but it wasn't a mistake.
Yeah.
You made the best decision possible. Own it, live with it, learn from it, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah. And so, but I would definitely recommend if you struggle with this, like, you need to just date one person at a time. And that was not my story. I didn't struggle as much with FOBO. So I hyper committed. So I needed to go on dates with more than one person.
Well, I don't know. But even then, what if I am like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, one eye on you, one eye on somebody else? Like, even though I'm dating one person, I can still struggle with FOBO at the back of my mind. Like clearly, you know?
Oh, well, that's something they need to practice, like fixing in the moment as they go on dates with one person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some people need to just take a full-on break from dating straight up.
Okay. So if I do struggle with that, should I stop dating or should I kind of work it out as I'm dating this one person?
I think you should stop dating for a moment, analyze your tendencies, bring accountability into it, start the dating process again, but completely anew and with accountability and a new set of, quote, parameters for yourself.
Yeah, maybe. I think in dating, it's a good opportunity to practice leaning in and choosing. I know a couple that everyone from the outside would say is perfect. They're amazing. Like they're like worshipped as like one of those golden unicorn couples. And he was telling me, you know, he struggled with FOBO and especially physically. And he really deeply wrestled with it. Like he almost walked away.
Wow.
And he stayed in because he just realized through wisdom and counsel and inviting people in that looks are not the foundation of a relationship. And even though she's maybe not what you would have originally have gone for, she's attractive enough to you.
Here I am trying to figure out who this couple is. That's all I'm trying to do right now.
Don't do that. But yeah, so again, if you do struggle with FOBO, I do think you can keep dating, you can take a break, but my best advice is bring somebody in.
Yes, bring accountability in for sure.
Like bring someone who's wiser, who's seen marriages. That is like the key takeaway from a lot of our conversations lately.
I would say this, there's one other person I want to talk to, somebody who's been deeply hurt in relationships. Maybe you're a female, maybe you're a guy who's dealt with somebody who's maybe been abusive or really just left you in a really poor place. You might struggle with this as well because you might be saying, like you might be analyzing every little signal and being freaked out that it's like, I can find someone better. I can find someone better. Like, is this going to be what it was before? And that's your fear and anxiety talking to you. And at some point in time, that's why you definitely have to do this in community. But I would say you need to focus on growth over perfection. Focus on, again, what I said earlier, focus on, are you bringing up the red flags that you do see, and how is that person responding? And then how are they working on that thing through time? They may have a great answer in the moment, but then are they actually working on it? That's what matters more, because a lot of times people who've been through abusive type of situations have a big fear, like, I'm going to go through that again.
Well, I have a question for you. Is there a good side to FOBO where you're dating someone who's got everything you want and more? they're so handsome. They're type A, man. They just are like everything, but spiritually they're a little lukewarm.
I mean, yeah,
and you're
that's
sitting
where
there,
you got to get your priorities, your values, and non-negotiables.
But
right.
you're sitting there saying they have everything, and I'm having a hard time committing because what if there's someone out there who's got all that?
They don't have everything
and loves God,
but they don't have everything because they don't have the core things.
So, but would that be FOBO in a good way?
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, not fear of a better option. It's like there is a better option. Because you need someone who's spiritually sound. That's like a value foundational, you know?
So FOBO is kind of maybe FOBO at its worst is applying to surface level, maybe looks, depending on the situation, but maybe there's it's not fear of a better option. Like there is a better option, like spiritually. So it depends on like the bucket.
Yeah, I think that fear of a better option usually exists with somebody who has crazy high standards across the board, and a lot of them leaning towards some of the more superficial things. But sometimes there are people who have crazy high standards with everything. But I think you have to know your foundational things first, and they can't be a million things. It needs to be just core 5 things at least.
Yeah.
Or at maximum, ideally 4 or 5 things. And if they don't have those things, then I don't even know why we're dating this person.
Well, here's why I like it, because you help people really separate need to have, nice to have, fun to have. Mm-hmm. And what FOBO basically means is they basically have all 5 of need to have, which is a lot more character, faith,
core values
based. And then you find someone who has 3 out of your nice to haves and 3 out of your fun to haves, and you're hesitating because you're saying, but what if there's a 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5, and 5 out of 5
right.
girl
And
out there?
actually, we're going to
and
talk
I'm missing
about
out
this.
on her because I'm choosing.
Right. We're going to talk about this next week with our other friends when we talk about compatibility, and that'll be really good.
Okay.
Any closing words that you have?
I love you.
You do?
Yeah.
I know.
I love you.
I love you too.
And we love you guys so much. We hope this is helpful. Again, if you struggle with FOBO, guess what? I did, and I still do to a degree. This is not a bashing. This is, I'm with you. But this is a cancer that we got to root out because it's going to kill your ability to commit and choose.
And unlike cancer, there is an antidote to FOBO.
Amen.
And you can actually heal from it.
Amen. I love it. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye. The Heart of Dating podcast is created by Kate and JJ Tomlin. Shout out to our epic audio and video editor, Scott Caro. We have an amazing Heart of Dating team who helps bring the show to you each week. I want to shout out Kelsey Napier, our Heart of Dating digital marketing coordinator, and Elena Gibson, our brand and community manager. We couldn't do it without them. Now, if you guys have never ranked us or reviewed us on iTunes or Spotify, would you consider doing that? It would mean so much because our podcast can get more discovered and more people can learn how to better date as Christians. Don't we all want that? We launch our podcast each and every week on Wednesdays, so we will see you next week.